this episode, Dude and Brett work their way through the entire Four Roses 10 recipe tasting experience. Tune in to find out what they thought on this episode of The Bourbon Hunters. But before we get started, do you want to support our podcast? Do you like bourbon gear? Visit our website at www.bourbonhunters.com to buy some of our custom bourbon gear and help support the podcast. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us on our hunt for great bourbon. Reward yourself and sit back, grab a pour, kick up your feet, and enjoy. Welcome to another episode of the Bourbon Hunters. I am Dude Poole. I'm joined by
Rev Ryan.
And today we are doing the Four Roses 10 recipe tasting experience. So,
I'm really excited about this.
I am too. I love Four Roses. I've been holding off for as long as I could to try to get Tyler here, but he just hasn't been making it. So,
snooze you lose, homie.
And I got a second one of these in Kentucky last weekend, so I figured, now's the time. Now that I have a backup, one to smash. One to stash. As our friends from the Black and Brown podcasts always say. So, all right. Basically, the way we're going to do this is I'm going to go over the Four Roses mash bills. I'm going to talk about where those are found in the current shelf offerings that they have. And then from there, we're just going to dive in and start tasting these. And so... If you're not familiar with Four Roses, the way they do their standard Four Roses bourbon is they take all 10 of their recipes and they basically blend them into a shelfer. So their regular standard Four Roses is just all 10 recipes.
You're talking the yellow label.
The regular standard, yeah, okay. Like 80 proof or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think it's like a yellow if I remember.
It's yellow. It's gone to natural, like tan kind of whatever, but I think it's yellow now. Yeah, I think you're right. And that's what I think people still call it, is the yellow label. So on the shelf, they have that. They have their traditional, like, shelfer single barrel, which is always 100 proof.
I think that's really good, too.
It is. And we'll talk about that as we get to the recipes. And then they have their small batch. Mm-hmm. Then they have their small batch select. So small batch select is, I think, like 7 recipes. We'll go over which ones they are, or 6 recipes or something like that. And then small batch is also similarly like 6 or something like that. One of them's 4. I just don't remember which one's which, and we'll figure it out as we go through this. But okay. So the way their recipe system works, if you've ever seen the 4-letter recipes, that's how they do their recipes. So the O and the S are always the same no matter what the recipe is. So it'll be O blank something, then S blank something. And so the O just stands for the Four Roses Distillery, basically. The S is for the straight distilling process. So those are what those two stand for. And then the rest of it comes from the B or the E. So, for example, if you are to buy the shelf version of the single barrel, the 100 proofer, that's always OBSV. V as in Victor.
So the single barrel on the shelf is always OBSV as in Victor, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, if you buy a single barrel, all bets are off. But like if you get a single barrel select program, a personal...
Like a barrel select.
A barrel pick.
Yeah.
All bets are off. It could be any of the 10 recipes. But if you buy a single barrel on the shelf that's the 100 proof, and it's not a store pick or something, it's the OBSV.
Okay.
So the B in that scenario, the O is Four Roses. The B is their high rye mash bill. The S is for the straight distilling process. And then the V is the yeast strain. So the second letter is the mash bill. The fourth letter is the yeast strain. So in this case, they have 2 mash bills. They have a high rye and a low rye. So B is the high rye, E is the low rye mash bill. So if you get an OE something, you're getting the low rye mash bill. If you get an OB something, it's a high rye mash bill.
Okay.
The last letter is the yeast strain, and they have 5 yeast strains that they...
That's impressive. They have 5 yeast strains.
Yeah. And so basically when you do the combination, you can do 10 different recipes, which is what we have in front of us. So the V, and we'll go through these a little bit more in detail as we do it, but the V stands for delicate fruit. The K stands for slight spice. The O stands for rich fruit. The Q is for floral essence, and then the F is for herbal notes. So those are the different options of the yeast strain. So we're going to go through these. I'll talk about which recipes are in which products, and then we'll taste it and compare them as we go. So the first one on the list is the OBSV. As I just mentioned, all of them are in the Four Roses bourbon. I'm not going to mention that every time, but this is in the Four Roses regular shelfer. It's also in the 100 proof single barrel. It's the exclusive 100 proof single barrel shelfer, as I mentioned, as long as it's not a store pick. And then it is also a major component of the small batch select. So not the regular small batch, but the small batch select. So if we go by the recipe, this is OBSV, so that stands for high rye mash bill and then delicate fruit. So as you taste this one, or nose it or whatever, you should get the delicate fruit and those notes that go along with that. So I'm going to go ahead and nose this first one, OBSV.
I don't know if it's the power of suggestion, but I do feel like I smell some like apple.
So yeah, on this one, I've always noticed on OBSVs with, the single barrels, I've always noticed like a pear or an apple or something like that. But it's always like a lighter fruit kind of forward nose, and then some vanilla usually.
Oh yeah. And I do love those single barrels that Four Roses has. They're almost like a sleeper because you see them all the time, and they're so good, man.
They are.
I've been drinking on one recently, actually.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I had it in the shelf, and I'm like, damn, I forgot I had this.
I should probably go pick up one because I do like the OBSV recipe, and for it being 100 proof, that's actually a good bottle to have.
Absolutely, it is.
It really is. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into this.
Now, what we're drinking, is this 100 proof or what is this?
Oh, good question. Everything in this is even.
Okay.
So every one of the samples is 104 proof.
Oh, so just a little bit higher.
A touch above 100 proof, but just and these are all single barrel selected. So these are all from the single barrel program that they have. So these are individual recipes, all from single barrel selections. So that means that they've gone and picked these and curated these out. They didn't just pick from the recipe. They actually picked from the single barrel selections.
Now, do you think that they used the same barrel in all of these kits?
I don't
consistency.
know.
It'd be interesting.
I don't know.
I kind of hope
there's such a small sample that it's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, there would have been a ton of these little samples in each barrel, I would think.
Oh yeah.
What is this? Maybe a 2.5 ounce sample?
50 milliliters.
Is that what it said?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't have my readers on, so.
I looked earlier because I was just curious.
So, what do you get on the taste?
I got a little bit of vanilla in there.
I definitely get the vanilla. It's a soft palate, and so it's probably good that we're starting with this.
Yeah. The fruit doesn't translate through as much on the palate
Not
to
on
me,
the palate,
but it's on the nose for sure.
And then now that I go back to the nose, the fruit, it's almost like I get the acidity from the pear or the apple or whatever it is that we're getting.
I mean, this reminds me why I like this single barrel so much.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. Yeah, I like this a lot. So I have a feeling I'm going to like all of these, but maybe one or two.
Yeah.
Just the herbal, that usually doesn't sit super well with me. It's not that it's bad. It's just...
A little bit of the rye spice comes through on this too for me.
Yeah, a little bit. It's not... Again, I think it's an overall softer palate compared to what we're going to be tasting as we go through this, but... you're right. I do get a little bit of the rye spice.
It was a good one to start with, too.
Yeah, it was.
Absolutely.
It's probably why they put it first. All right, so the second one that we're about to do, so I'll give you a chance to cleanse your palate while I talk about this, is OBSK. And so that's the B mash bill, which is, again, the first 5 are going to all be the high rye mash bill, but that's the high rye mash bill. And it's K, which is the
Slight spice.
Slight spice. Now, this is also, as we mentioned, every one of them are in the Four Roses regular bourbon blend. This is in the small batch, but it's also in the small batch select.
Okay.
So this is the first one we're doing that is in the small batch, the regular shelf or small batch.
What would be... I get why these are only 50 milliliters, but if they were like 100 milliliters and you had a little bit more, which you have another kit,
yeah.
But it'd be neat to kind of like blend a couple and kind of make your own little blends here and there.
See if you can get the small. Now,
just see if, well, not even to get that, just see if you can kind of create your own little unique thing.
Well, the other thing too, yeah, that would be neat. But like the small batch select, for example, it's not even blends.
Right.
So it's like some of them are a major component and some of them are a minor component. So it means like, they might do 40% of one of the recipes and 20% of a different one. So you'd have to guess it. And they probably do that on purpose because so people aren't just creating their own little.
There's near endless possibilities here, right? You could put a small amount.
Right.
You could go on forever.
They could come out with a whole other product, really.
Oh, yeah.
Or 3 or 4 if they wanted, of just 2 or 3 blends of different recipes.
Could you imagine like making your own and like sending it to them like, dude, you got to try this.
Hey,
I'm on to something.
Hey, Brent, you got to try this out.
Yeah. He's probably like, piss off.
He's like, I get this all the time, guys.
Oh, I'm sure.
All right, so this is OBSK. So based off of what I'm guessing that we're going to get a little bit more of a spiciness on the nose.
I don't. Sorry. I went in nose first.
Yeah,
Do you? Man.
I get a slight hint of maybe a baking spice or a nutmeg or something like that.
It's like an apple pie spice for me.
Yeah, like cinnamon, you mean? Or
Yeah,
what do you mean?
But like, that's a cinnamon I don't mind. Like apple cinnamon.
Yeah,
yes.
apples. Yeah. I get a little bit of the oak, I think.
Apple cinnamon Cheerios.
Apple cinnamon Cheerios. No, I see that. But I do get a little bit of spice. It's not crazy. Now we have little pores in here, so that could be part of it. But
and they're all neck pores.
Someone's getting mad right now. All right, so let's dive into this.
Oh, the spice is there.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's actually what I was going to say, and it's a lot different than the last one, which
Very
is
much.
really cool. Obviously, it's a different yeast strain, but what's neat to me is all 5 of these that we're going to do to start with are all the same mash bill.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that tells you how much a yeast strain influences the flavor, the finishing flavor of a bourbon.
Well, you notice that's the one thing that distillers keep a secret. They'll share their mash bill, but they're sure as hell not sharing their yeast strains.
But they also, not only are they keeping that a secret, what their yeast strain is, but they even when they do the tours, they don't really mention the impact of the yeast strain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like the well-known but hidden kind of secret of the distilleries in a sense.
Man, I keep getting this like apple and vanilla, but like a spice in it. Like you put a lump of ice cream on an apple pie. Like that's what
So I get the vanilla. There's a very
why.
very slight hint of, for me maybe it's like a tea leaf or.
Oh, there's a tea leaf in there too. Yeah, like an earthy note.
Yeah, but it's slight. It's not what I expect to get with like the herbal one that we're going to do later, but.
I like that spice for some reason. I really do.
I do. And it's funny because when I first started bourbon, it was the thing I didn't like.
Yeah.
And I think now that I'm getting a little bit more into bourbon.
You're evolving.
My taste is definitely evolving. I think it's really, really changed for me, and I'm starting to enjoy the spice in some of these bourbons.
I had to give myself a little pat on the back the other day. I went to a coffee shop, and I love pour-over coffee.
Yeah.
And so I'd ordered a pour-over coffee, and I was, kind of chatting with the barista as he was doing his thing.
Coffee guy.
And I was like, people always tell me that drip coffee and pour-over are the same. I was like, but they're not. Pour-over tastes so much better. And he's like, well, you have a sophisticated palate. You can taste the difference. And I was like, fuck yes, I do.
He was just trying to get your fucking tip.
Well, yeah, of course he was.
He was trying to get the tip.
But I took it as my own little pat on the back. I was like, that's right.
No, that's good. That's good. I mean, it probably to the fact that you drink your coffee black too.
Yeah.
Is probably another thing that a nice palate
I can taste
would allow
like
you to do.
chocolates and like I got this. I know this is on a coffee podcast.
I can't because I put fucking vanilla
Yeah.
creamer in mine, but I choose that as well.
Yeah.
I don't generally like the bitter, but go ahead. You can get the coffees and the chocolates and the.
I had one the other day. It was a not Costa Rican, Guatemalan blend, Honduras blend, and it had banana in it.
Really?
It was so good, and it was like a banana you would pick up in like an Old Forester banana. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't.
Yeah.
Anyone else would be like, "There's not banana in this," and I'm like,
Well, and I wonder, because you drink your coffee the way you do, does that make you venture out a little bit more when you're having coffee, or go to a coffee shop to try a different blend?
absolutely.
So that's kind of neat. That's the one thing I've never been able to get behind drinking coffee black. Just the bitterness of it, and I know you like that.
Yeah, I like weird IPAs that are real bitter too, though.
Yeah, I can't get behind IPAs either. I'm a piss beer guy. I've mentioned that before, but my Bud Lights, my Busch Lights, my Miller Lights, all that kind of stuff. Those I do enjoy a Summer Shandy, and I do enjoy like a Land Shark, but those are still on the piss beer side in my opinion. They're just fuller piss beers. But yeah, that's just, and I really only enjoy beer when I've been like hot and sweaty, like working outside, or like when we would play softball, we would come back and drink
have a beer.
But those are the only times, like at a pool, like when it's really hot, I'll drink a beer there. But like generally speaking, I don't like beer.
I get too full from beer as well.
That's part of it.
Especially as I've gotten older, I can't drink. I can't tailgate and drink beer all day like
you're
people do.
Uncomfortable the rest of the day.
Yeah, and then I'm just peeing all the time too.
Well, that's part of it. Yeah, so Trina and I just went to the Louder Than Life Festival down in Louisville, and it's the week after the Bourbon and Beyond Festival. Mm-hmm. And I would love to go to the Bourbon and Beyond Festival, but I feel like they're almost the same from a bourbon perspective, because they have a big bourbon bar at the Louder Than Life Festival, and it just seems that even though I like the music that Bourbon and Beyond represents more so as a whole, the lineups I usually like Louder Than Life better, because it's a pure rock concert, versus Bourbon and Beyond is very eclectic. There's a big mix. There's some country. There's some pop. There's some folky or whatever. But like whenever I see the lineup, like, I don't know. There's never one day where I'm just like, I got to go to that day, and it just never really jumps out at me. But I'm sure it would still be fun, and it would be a lot more chill than, say, Louder Than Life. I mean, Louder Than Life is just nonstop rock. There's body surfing, like, or crowd surfing or whatever.
Surfing, yeah.
Nonstop. People dressed like, it's almost like they didn't look at themselves before they left the house. And you're just like, what were you thinking?
Right.
Like that does, and some people pull it off, and some people you're just like, please pull it off. But all right, so this enough of me talking. Let's go to the third recipe here. We've got OBSO, and so the mash bill, that's high rye with the B, and O is the that's the rich. What is it?
Rich fruit.
Rich fruit.
I do not smell rich fruit, but continue.
Well, you may not get it necessarily on the nose. You don't?
No, this smells weird to me.
I get like a very, very strong cherry, like a really ripe cherry.
Man, I don't.
Oh, yeah, man. You try both nostrils?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting a really, really strong cherry. And what I'm afraid of is it almost smells...
I have the right one? Yeah, I've got the right one.
It almost smells to me like a like a cough syrup cherry. And I'm hoping it doesn't taste that way.
It smells like grainy, like earthy, grainy.
Smell mine. Make sure you have the right one. See if you're getting the same smell.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Just making sure. I don't get any. I get all fruit, man.
Maybe I was digging the nose in there too far.
Yeah, I get seriously like a really, really, really ripe cherry.
Well, that would make sense.
Now this one, OBSO, obviously 4 roses.
There we go.
Because it's in all of them. But it's also a big component in the standard small batch, not the small batch select, but the regular small batch.
Small batch, okay.
Yeah. So, all right, I'm going to dive into this because
I think I burnt my nose out. That's what I did. I think I stuck it in there too far.
Do the reset.
Just in my armpit here.
So when I say do the reset, if you're listening and you haven't been listening all along, oh man, I like this. This might be my
now.
favorite.
It's medicinal cherry now for me.
On the nose?
Very medicinal, yeah.
Good. I'm glad I'm not
I
having some
think
weird
I just went
reaction.
I think I went too
deep into it.
Yeah.
So this one might be my favorite so far. I mean, we're only on the third one. This is good. It's complex to me.
It's very complex. There was something about the last one I liked a little better. Oh, there's that cherry again.
Yeah. So like I got cherry, I got vanilla, I got oak. I got some oak in this, and which I was not expecting because I didn't smell any oak, and I got some rye on the end. Like it's a really, really good, complex one to me.
I'm getting oak and cherry, like you said, medicinal cough syrup cherry.
I got that on the nose. I'm not getting that so much on the taste.
I am
the
on
medicinal
the tip
part.
of my tongue.
I'm getting the cherry, but I'm not getting. It doesn't seem medicinal.
Now there's a little bit of like a bitter grapefruit in there.
Man, yeah. There's a little citrusy kind of something.
Yeah.
This is good. This is one that, and not to throw a funny, not trying to do any promotion for Buffalo Trace, but did you see that they just did a thing? It's called the Traveler Whiskey with Chris
I didn't
Stapleton.
See that. No.
So they're coming out with a little collaboration with Chris Stapleton called the Traveler Whiskey, which on the back, the label they're using, it says, it talks about how, country music tells a story, and so does a whiskey, basically. And that's what I've always said. Like, I say that the good whiskeys, they tell a story. You can sit down with it all night long. And obviously, they can tell a story from the people you drink it with, but they can also tell a story from, in the loosest sense of the term, by just sitting down and it evolving with you the more you drink it throughout the night. And I've always said that, and I think this one here is one of those ones that I feel like would do that for you. You could sit down with it all night long, drink it, and it's just going to continue giving you something that you may not have gotten on the last sip. And that's how I feel on this one.
I'd like to try this at some different proofs, like a little higher proof.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. We might even have an OBSO in our single barrel collection that we have, in our barrel picks that we have. I like this one so far. That's one of my better ones, I think, so far. And I know we're only on the third one, but
I really like that OBSK for some reason.
That was the second one, yeah.
Yeah.
That was good too. So, yeah, for me, I think that's so far that's right up there. All right, so we've got OBSQ, which is the fourth one in the list here. That's the B mash bill, which is the high rye. That's the Q, which is the floral notes or floral essence. For the
sounds
the
like
Q.
a shampoo.
It does, doesn't it? Herbal essence. So Four Roses bourbon has this in it, and then single barrels. You're only going outside of the Four Roses blend. You're only going to find this one in single barrels.
Like the private single barrels that come out.
Correct.
Okay.
It is not in the small batch select. It's not in the regular small batch. It is only in the single barrel store picks.
Now, do you remember when we were at Four Roses last year on the bourbon trip, and you and Jason and almost everyone got the one single barrel, and I got a different
you and
one.
Tyler
We were the only ones that got the different
Yeah.
one. Do you remember what that was? Because it was very minty, the one that you got.
I've got it in there. I can check.
Okay, I didn't know if you remembered off the top of your head.
I don't, but it was the bourbon and women, or women and bourbon pick. Is the one
was
I
it?
got. Yeah.
Okay. I remember it was really high in the Rick House too.
It was.
It was like a level, like
and
floor
to
6.
be honest, I think I liked your guys' better.
Yeah.
I like mine. There's not a single Four Roses store pick or barrel pick barrel strength that I've not liked. Every one of them I've ever had, I've enjoyed. Like, it is probably up there on my highest to try to find anytime I see a Four Roses.
Oh, yeah. I'll never turn one down.
Yeah, they're
ever.
just so good. All right, so let's go into this one. This one, Floral Essence, is the yeast strain.
It has floral notes for sure. I think
It's
it smells really good.
It's almost perfumey to me. But yeah, it's floral, almost like maybe like a honeysuckle or a.
Ooh, honeysuckle's a good one.
Definitely floral, almost perfumey, but not quite. I'm gonna dive into this one though, because I'm interested to see what this tastes like.
Yeah, I mean, honeysuckle's a great note on that.
Ooh. Definitely, in my opinion, a little more perfumey on the flavor, but not in a bad way. I thought that was going to be bad. Maybe raspberry? That's weird. And then I get some oak on the finish.
It's missing... For me, it's weird because this is the high rye, and it's missing that little bit of spice.
Yeah.
This kind of like masks... It's
But
almost like a weeder, like in a way.
I think the spice is there, but I think it's hidden. I think the floral essence is so strong, it's hiding the rye spice.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because to me, that's kind of coming off as like a I think that's where the perfumey flavor is coming from. I think it's the rye mixed with the floral. Yeah. I mean, this isn't bad. And it's actually probably the most viscous of all the ones we've tasted. It's got a really good tongue coat. But I'm not sure I'm down 100% with the flavor. It's probably my least favorite so far flavor-wise of the ones we've done, but it's still good.
The second drink was better than the first drink.
It was.
Definitely.
It seemed to... the perfuminess...
Like leveled out a little bit?
Yeah,
it's not as...
it like balanced or softened out a little, just a touch after... I think that was probably the most visceral of the reactions I've had of all of these. And that second sip, you're right. I think it did soften out a little.
Man, I just get so many floral notes on this thing.
Yeah, I am too.
I mean, I guess the yeast is doing what it's supposed to.
No, this is good, but it might be my least favorite so far. Which is, I mean, we're only 4 in.
Which, again, this makes sense why they blend things, right? Because, you take little things.
But I don't know that I'd be upset if this was a single barrel that I had gotten.
I think this, again, like the other one, I think this would shine at a higher proof, like a single barrel.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like a barrel proof single barrel. Because I think you would get that spice that I'm lacking, you would get some of that back with some like alcohol proof.
Probably. Yeah. Interesting. That I almost got like a little bit of a buttery kind of note at the end of that last sip.
I still like the OBS.
Okay,
the best. Yeah. So far.
All right. So we are now moving on to the last one in the OB series, or the recipes.
I got to write this down because I want to go home and I have 2 of them, 2 single barrels.
And you want to look and see?
Yeah, and see if.
So this is OBSF, so the high rye mash bill mixed with F, which is the herbal notes yeast strain. Now this one is a small component of the small batch select. It's not in the regular small batch. It's obviously in the regular 4 roses. Outside of the small batch select, though, you're only going to see this probably, in the single barrel program. So this one, herbal notes, high rye. I'm expecting like a spiciness, maybe
like allspice, earthy,
maybe minty because of the herbal. I don't know what kind of herbal we're going to get. We'll see.
I think that one that you have was an F. Now,
now
whether it was OESF or OBSF,
that part I don't remember.
I don't know, but I do think it was an F. Yeast strain.
So, to me, and I wonder if we should have gone 1.6, 2.7, and tasted the high rye
versus the low rye. Yeah, I mean,
maybe we do that for the rest of this at another time, just when we're not recording, just to see what happens.
You can make an argument for doing it either way.
Right. This is interesting though to me, seeing it how it goes because the yeast strain. Mm-hmm. It's the same mash bill on all these.
Just the yeast is different.
The yeast is the only thing different, and it's truly giving us a different flavor, like a really significant different flavor each time. All right, so let's do F here. Let's nose that. Oh, I like this nose.
I do too.
There's a decent amount of oak in the nose for me.
These are all the same like age statement too, I'm assuming.
I think they're close.
I would hope so.
They're close, and I think they're all trying to be similar so that you can get a true comparison.
This was a smart idea for them to do.
Yeah, I wish they would have done it sooner, but I'm glad they did it, and I'm glad I picked up a second one because I'm enjoying this. This is actually kind of a fun little...
oh, yeah. This is fun.
What would really be fun is doing this for a group of people, providing this kit and then not pouring out all of it for each person, but like what we're doing for ourselves, and then they'd have this to go home with afterwards. This would be a neat little tasting
to set up for someone.
Yeah. You'd have to be able to find that many of them, though, you know.
It'd probably be a smaller group that you would do that for sure.
Well, sure, but like the one we did that with Tyler.
That was a pretty big group.
Yeah, but like something like that, that would be kind of neat.
That would, I agree. That was fun. I wouldn't mind doing like another tasting thing like that. There's a lady from work that she used to be my boss. She retired, but I still can't stay in contact with her. And she's like, I still want to do one of them bourbon tastings. And then one of the doctors I work with, he wants to do one too.
I'm fine with it too. It was fun.
We basically need to find a place to do it. And I almost thought like, shit, we could just do it at the gym and like open up the garage door, and that might be like an easy place.
I mean, after noon on a Saturday, it's free.
That's what I mean.
God, this is a good nose. I'm really enjoying this. I don't get. I was expecting maybe some mint. I don't get that, but I do. I get like a ripeness, like almost like a fruit, a dark fruit maybe, and then like oak. I'm definitely getting oak. I'm going to dive into this. Oh, okay. Now I've got some mint. Some serious mint. Viscous. It's a good mouthfeel.
I have mint and oak.
So, oak. I get the oak.
Mint and oak is what I get.
And the mint is almost like a...
The mint's on the nose now. Go back and smell it again.
Oh, yeah? Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Wow. And so the mint's almost like a cooling effect.
Yeah, like a menthol, kind of like mint.
I'm not sure.
Have some like Newport cigarettes down here.
I'm not sure if I like that. Did I say that this is a small component of the small batch select?
I think so.
Okay. So this is OBSF, last one in the OB line. Recipe number 5, as they call it.
Oh, way more mint that drink.
Whew, I'm sure.
Maybe because it was a bigger drink too.
It's got a good finish. This is probably the longest finish of all the ones we've done.
Oh, absolutely.
But the mint is wow. It's very herbal. That's a great description. Herbal. Notes. I mean, because it's an herbal. I feel like I know this is going to sound negative, but I feel like I'm almost like sucking on like a blade of grass or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's just very earthy in that
but
sense.
not in a bad way. It's not a bad earthiness, which is generally something I would not like. And I think this earthiness is something I'm actually enjoying. This is probably still like my either least favorite or my second to least favorite.
Same.
But it's good. Like, again, all of these so far have been really good.
So out of these 5, do you have an easy favorite?
Which one did I say that I really enjoyed?
I thought it was the
OBSO.
That's what I thought you said, yes.
I think that's probably my favorite. OBSV is probably my second favorite. OBSK and then Q and F are probably my 2 least favorite. But still like them. I like every one of these. So just as a disclaimer. Wow. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to hit pause just so we can have a bite of cracker. Move on to the low rye mash bill.
Pour our other ones here
pour
too.
These other ones out. So we'll be right back. All right, we're back. We got the next 5 poured out. So we're about to dive into the low rye mash bill now. So it should be a little less spiciness. And some of these last ones we did in the high rye didn't have a ton of spiciness, which was surprising, but actually kind of still nice.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious how those are going to play out.
Yeah, me too. So we started with OBSV, and again, that was the one that you're going to find in the standard shelf for 100 proof single barrels. So we're about to start with the OESV now, with the low rye version. So let's go ahead and jump into that one. I'm guessing this one's going to be a lot softer than the OB, meaning it's going to be like a sweetness.
It does smell sweet.
Oh, wow.
Got a hair going up my nose.
Oh, that's definitely sweet.
I still get more of that fruit.
I get like maybe pear, apricot, something like that.
Like a tart fruit, yeah.
You're going to hate this, but I think I might get some bubble gum.
I mean, you say that about everything anymore.
I don't have it. This is the first time I've said it tonight.
I feel like I hear you say that all the time.
You might, but I've said it tonight for the first time, just now.
I don't get bubble gum.
I'm diving in.
Surprising amount of spice for it being a...
Low rye.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking the same thing because this doesn't seem to fall into that category for me. I'm getting tons of bubble gum. I don't know how you're not.
I'm not.
And it's a lot of it's in the second breath, the dragon's breath or whatever you call it. Man, to me the bubble gum's like, whoo.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm trying to like block it out mentally.
Could be. So yeah, this is what I will say is this has a little bit of spice to it, a little kick to it, which I'm welcoming. It's not bad. I do think I like the OBSV better, but this isn't bad.
I would say the same. I like the OBSV better.
Now, just to kind of go and keep consistent here, this is a minor component in the small batch select. It's not in the regular small batch, and it's obviously in the standard Four Roses bourbon. But
because you said all 10 of these are in the standard.
Yeah, I don't have to announce that every time. I
was just clarifying.
Doing it.
I was just clarifying.
No, you're right. All 10 of them are in the one blend.
It's like all the shitty barrels they just probably mixed together, and it's like here
maybe, but I think there's a science to it, like which percentages.
Yeah,
you know.
I look like King Kong, like the airplane swatting at him. There's this gnat flying around here,
and he's been bugging the shit out of both of us.
Get out of here, dude!
I'm right there with you. But yeah, I don't know how you're not getting the bubble gum. I'm getting tons of it.
I don't know. Maybe that cracker saved me from getting bubble gum.
Yeah, it could be.
I'm getting peanut butter. No.
so during the little break there, I poured out the second set of 5, and then Brett and I had some crackers to cleanse the palate. I also reset my sniffer, my schnoz.
What is that in there? I don't know right now.
It's definitely a sweeter.
It's sweet, yes.
But it's got a spiciness that surprised me. I didn't expect there to be any spiciness.
It's almost like it's an ethanol spice, but they're all the same proof, so that doesn't make sense. And it's low rye, so that doesn't make sense. No,
but it could still be an ethanol forward barrel because maybe it's not being hidden by the rye, so maybe the ethanol shows up more. I'm making that up as I go, but
I just feel like some ethanol comes through on this more than I would expect.
That could be what I was getting to. That's a possibility for sure. So then the next one we're doing is OESK, and I believe, if I'm correct in this one, I think this is a pretty popular one. Especially on the side of the single barrel selects.
Okay.
Now this one's used in all 3 of their recipes on the shelf. Not the single barrel that's on the shelf, but the other 3. The regular Four Roses bourbon. It's a dominant part of the regular small batch, and it's minor part of the small batch select.
Now, last time the OBSK was my favorite.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how the OESK holds up.
Now, you're one of the ones who actually likes small batch better than small batch select, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you're one of the weird
I'm an
ones.
oddball, yep.
Yeah, okay.
But the single barrel is still my favorite out of all of them.
Which is OBSV, yeah.
Yeah, just the regular shelf or single barrel.
So this nose...
Oh, I like the nose. What is that?
There's a sweetness underlying all of it. I'm getting a little bit of oak and maybe some allspice. Some sort of baking spice. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I get some vanilla. There's a sweetness that's just there. It's almost like maybe a creme brulee kind of.
It's like a pie crust something in there.
Yeah,
does that make sense? Pie crust?
Pie crust makes sense. That's actually not bad. Like a little buttery, flaky kind of.
But like pie crust also is like, it's like a little dry and.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
I really, really like this nose.
The nose is actually on point. It's pretty good.
This is probably one of my favorite noses so far.
I did like the OBSO nose along with the. I think that's why I liked it the best. Is everything about it I liked. There's some. Ooh.
I like this a lot.
Wow. There's a lot more there than I expected from the nose. Mm-hmm. This is wow. The finish is really strong in a good way. Wow, that's a good finish. And that's just overtaking everything right now. I'm going to have to kind of take a sip of water, I think, and come back to this because the finish was so good. It's making me not catch everything else. Oh, man, that is sticking with me, too. That's good.
What is that I'm getting on this? On the palate, I should clarify. It's definitely softer. Like, you can tell it's a low rye.
Yeah.
Because it's softer.
Apricot, maybe? I feel like I'm getting some apricot, and it's now that I took some water.
I should do the same.
I feel like the viscosity is just nice. It's sitting on the tongue well. It's not like crazy viscous, like a buttery, but it's a nice viscosity that I was not expecting. Yeah, that's not too bad. It's well balanced is probably a way to describe it because it's got a great finish. It hits you at the beginning of the tongue, hits you in the middle of the tongue, and it hits you at the back of the tongue. All three spots. I just can't figure out what all the flavors are yet.
I agree. So this is very complex. There's a lot of flavors going on. This is another one, a little higher proof. I think it would
shine a little more
because I think it would be a little more viscous, right? Because this is proof to a point,
right? And these have all been proofed down to 104.
Yeah. And this one almost tastes like. I'm not saying it's not viscous, but it has the potential to be even
very viscous.
Very correct.
No, I see.
And I think it's because it's been proofed down to a certain point.
That makes sense.
And I feel like at a little higher proof, it would start to shine through with like a butterscotch kind of note that I like, and
Well, and this is the slight spice yeast strain. I definitely get something spiciness going on in there, but I agree it's very viscous, and I think it could be even more viscous with a higher proof point.
I mean, both of these Ks have been great for me personally.
Yeah. No, I will agree with you on this one. This K is better than the low rye B or V. I mean the low rye.
Oh
V.
yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
So I like the high rye V better than the K and the high rye.
I know we're getting like alphabet soup here. It's confusing.
Yeah, it is.
If I didn't have them laid out in front of me, I'd be like, "What is this again?"
I know.
What's happening?
That's why I printed this out for us today. So I didn't want us to not.
No, I would be lost if you didn't.
Yeah.
So thank you.
There's a little legend at the top. There's I put the.
I was going to ask if this came with the kit. Honestly,
no. Does it look that good?
I mean, yeah. Honestly, it does. Did you make it?
I did.
Yeah, it looks like it came with the kit. For real.
I told you I was prepared today.
Yeah,
I haven't done this in a while.
You even put like the logo on top. I mean, that's why I thought it came with the kit.
No, I was actually going to take this these sheets and put it back in the kit when we're done.
I would.
The tasting experience.
Yeah, I would.
Because why not? Like it's kind of cool. It's guided us through this whole thing.
There's enough to do this again with two people.
I think so.
Absolutely.
I don't think we've gone through even half of each bottle.
Yeah.
Considering that they were all neck pours.
Mm-hmm.
I got a schnozzing glass laugh out of that one. Well, that was good.
Tyler, did he let you know if he found anything in the duty free?
I haven't heard from him.
I haven't heard from him either.
His first flight, I haven't heard from him, so I have no idea. All right, so we're moving on to OESO. This one is only in the Four Roses blend and then the small batch, the regular small batch.
And this might be a dumb question, but are any of these never offered as a single barrel select?
I don't think so.
Okay.
The way that Jason described it, Jason from the Mash and Drum, is that you go in to the Rick House or wherever they do the tasting for the single barrels, and they have like basically it's almost like a lazy Susan.
That's cool.
And it's all the 10 recipes, right there, and then you basically taste through them, find out like you narrow it down to a certain like 3 maybe, and then you do like a blind or something and figure out which one you want. But I, from what I understand, you could potentially get any one of the recipes.
Well, that's cool that they offer all of them to you because I assume they would be like, hey, kind of like Four Roses
where
did.
you just get
They're
like
not Four Roses, shit. Old Forester did.
Where you just get like 4 to choose from.
Yeah, and they're like, this is what you
Well,
get.
but they don't have 4 Roses, and they have one mash bill.
Right.
And so they're thrown in different parts of the Rick House, aged a little differently, and that's what you get. So there's not really that much to choose from. So Old Forester giving you 10 doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Right. No, I agree.
All right, so let's go to the OESO here. And O, again, is the rich fruit. E is the low rye mash bill. So we've got the low rye mash bill, and we've got the rich fruit. And again, this one's used in the small batch, regular small batch.
I get fruit for sure.
The fruit, it's like a maraschino cherry.
I'm getting like a tart raspberry.
Okay.
Or like, strawberries are tart sometimes.
Go back to the nose now. Do you get like an underlying, like after you get the initial nose, do you get a little honey?
Hold on, I burped. Let me get it. Let me let it waft away.
There's almost like a soft honey at the very, very back. Oh, wow. I think I may like this one, which is funny because I like the OBSO the best. So far, this might be one of my favorite noses here because I've got fruit going on. I've got honey. Maybe some toffee?
I don't get toffee yet. Fruit and honey, but it's a tart fruit for me.
Yeah. I see what you're saying with the tart fruit, but I also get a maraschino cherry that's just like right there.
Now, last time I had that very medicinal.
Oh, man.
That medicinal cherry.
Yeah. Ooh. Ooh. Whew. Some viscosity to this one. This one coats the tongue really well.
This has had the best viscosity out of anything yet.
Yeah. I'm getting about the same things on the aroma on the palate. So like for me, I'm getting there's a honey, and that might be, but there's some honey there. Whew, that honey comes through nice on the tongue.
Well, honey's like thick and viscous too, so it's
right.
Like
that's what I was thinking.
Matches each other.
Yeah, it does. I am getting the fruit you're talking about, like a more of a bitter, like a stone fruit or something. I'm getting that on the taste. I'm not getting the cherry on the taste.
Man, I like this. Wow. This is up there. This is top 3 for sure. Maybe top 2.
That last drink right there, I just got a little bit of oak and like maybe some leather.
So it's funny you say that because I did a little Kentucky chew on that one.
Yeah.
Where I held it in my mouth a minute and kind of swished it around before I drank it, and I got some more of the leather that came through. There's some age.
Something.
I'd be curious to know how old any of these are. I don't think they say at all.
They're probably like 6 to 7 years.
Really? You think so?
If I had to guess. I think that's what their regular program is. Oh, man. This one may be my favorite.
Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. I used to drive through there all the time going to school. That's funny. It's funny how things change. Like,
yeah.
I used to go past.
They still stay the same.
I would go past all of these places in Kentucky all the time.
I thought
in
you were going
school.
to say you go plastered.
I get there. Right. I was plastered in school too.
At Moorhead?
Yeah, my friend's trying to get me. So homecoming is like the first weekend in November. And a friend, we actually didn't go to school together. It's funny. I went to school with his older brother, and then I used to come back for homecoming all the time, and I made friends with his younger brother in my fraternity. And it's funny that I'm better friends with the younger brother that I didn't go to school with than the,
Right, because you already burned the bridge of the older brother. I get it. It makes sense.
He was just quiet, and the younger brother's very like outgoing. But he's really wanting me to like come down. He lives like 20 minutes away. He still lives down near the Red River Gorge. because when I went to Red River Gorge, I met up with him because he lives down there.
Huh.
But anyway, he's wanting me to come down for homecoming and get a hotel and all this shit. And I'm like, I might. I don't know. I'm on the fence. I can't make up my mind.
Well,
it's like a 3-hour drive from here.
Yeah, I mean, Kentucky, we're lucky in the sense that Kentucky's right there.
Yeah.
Lucky Kentucky.
Lucky Kentucky. So back in the day, that was a lottery thing. And I had one of the shirts when I was in college because it was all green. It was the state of Kentucky, and it said "Getting Lucky in Kentucky."
That's funny.
But it was their lottery system.
Yeah.
It was great. I know that shirt's gone, long gone.
All right, we got 2 of these left, man. You need to finish that one off so we can get to these last 2. We've got OESQ next. OESQ. So the low rye mash bill with Q, which is the floral essence. This one, outside of the single barrel program, is only available in the Four Roses bourbon.
Mm.
So we've had 2. We've had 2 so far that have been that way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what? Floral essence. Okay. It doesn't smell like floral essence, but I don't know if there's something lingering and I need another drink of water. Right. Smelling my watch.
Oh, floral as fuck to me. This is another, and I think I said this on the last one, honeysuckle. I'm getting honeysuckle all day long.
There it is. That's why I was like, I need a smell because I was overwhelmed with the last drink still being, I think, kind of in my palate, and it's like aromatizing in my nose.
Aromatizing.
That's a word.
I think it might be.
It's aromatic.
Which is interesting. The thing I do get on this one that I didn't get on the last one, and it's probably the low rye difference, is brown sugar.
Oh, brown sugar? I do like brown sugar.
I'm getting honeysuckle
That's
and
like
brown
my favorite
sugar.
Pop-Tart. Brown sugar Pop-Tart.
Really? My favorite is the white chocolate vanilla cream.
Too much.
No.
It's too much.
No,
but
no.
I'll look for that one.
The chocolate cream one, that's the one everyone... No, you won't find it. It's not...
Oh, they don't make it anymore?
And when they do, it's a Target exclusive.
Okay. Really?
It was the one I grew up with. It went away, and then they do it as a special release at Target every so often. Whenever it comes out, I buy like 6 boxes. And then I don't eat them.
Brylan does?
Brylan plows through them. So I have to like hide them because they're like the throwback to my childhood.
Yeah, no, I get that. I always like the brown sugar for some reason. It's
Brown
simple.
sugar's good. It's good.
It's simple. It's good. I went to the Pearl on Friday, by the way. I'm not going to derail.
I'll
come right back.
In. Oh, I was in Kentucky, so
It was a birthday.
Yeah, it's
blah 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 thing.
birthday week apparently.
Birthday fucking month.
Because you weren't
Give me a break.
last week because of her birthday. And then you're talking Friday and Saturday now. Birthday
I'm
celebration.
not even kidding you because her parents came into town.
I'm not joking.
Anyway, that's me shooting myself in the face for the people that were not on video. Anyway,
There's no one on video. What are you talking about?
because we're not on video is what I mean.
You said for the people not on video. I'm looking around like, is there a video? Is there a video company around here that's doing something that I didn't see?
It's built into the TV.
Oh, gotcha.
I mean, we're 9 in. Okay, I'm sorry.
We're 9 in.
We're 8 in.
We're 9 in with like maybe
Small pours.
eighth size
I know.
pours.
Okay.
So like we're
They
like
don't have
really
to know
2
that.
in.
They don't have to
We're
know
like
that.
really 2.
But anyway, I went to the Pearl.
Yeah. Pearl's a local restaurant that we just love.
And because it was her birthday, they offered her, or celebrating her birthday, they offered a free slice of pie, which is nice.
Yeah.
And they don't even make you like check an ID. I'm like, it's going to be my birthday every time I go there.
Every time.
But one of them was a Buckeye pie or something like that, peanut butter chocolate. But the other was
Brown sugar.
brown sugar pie.
That's the one they do all the time.
And I'm like, it sounded like I was like, get the brown sugar pie. Of course she didn't. But I really want to try that brown sugar pie because I like the brown sugar.
Really it's really good.
Because I like brown sugar Pop-Tarts so much.
Brown sugar, that's their always in rotation pie.
Brown sugar is delicious. Continue on. I am sorry for derailing.
You didn't derail shit. Have you listened to our podcast? All right, OESQ. Again, this is only found in the Four Roses Bourbon Blend, or if you get lucky enough to do this recipe in a single barrel select. So I got the honeysuckle. I felt like some brown sugar. I'm going to dive in. Ooh, there's some viscosity here.
Yeah, there is.
Honey.
Floral comes through for me.
I get caramel brown sugar on the nose or on the taste.
It's like a classic bourbon with floral.
There's definitely some floral. I don't know what it is. It's not honeysuckle in the taste, I don't think. But I got honeysuckle on the nose, so that's interesting. But there's definitely some floral notes there on the taste. But honey, caramel, and brown sugar are carrying me through from the front to the back of the tongue.
This is a dumb question. There's no dumb questions, just dumb people, right?
Tea leaves?
Oh.
I feel like I'm getting tea on the taste. I didn't get it on the nose. Still not getting it on the nose. What's your dumb question?
Do the 4 roses signify anything? Is it like the 4 different possibilities?
No.
Or not by, but you know what I mean by like the
I think
OESV.
4 Roses has something to do with the original person proposing to his wife or something like
With
that.
4 roses, maybe?
Something
I don't know.
like that. I think you're asking me, and that's the one thing I was
That's
prepared.
okay.
I was prepared on everything else, man. Thanks for pointing out what I didn't prepare for.
I don't know.
I didn't get into the history of 4 Roses with this one. I just got into the recipes. But I believe, because if you've ever been to their distillery, they just opened a new
The visitor center, beautiful,
which is just amazing. Now the distillery itself is a Spanish architecture type thing.
Yeah, it's
the new visitor center is also made in that same style.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it just because it's different than all the other distilleries you go to on the Bourbon Trail.
I agree. It's very like Spain kind of.
Yeah,
like,
that Spanish kind of influence, which is really, really cool. But from what I understand, and I think it says it somewhere on their website, something, it doesn't explain why it's a Spanish influence, but I believe the 4 Roses has something to do with the guy courting the woman and something to do with
courtship.
There was some courtship happening with some roses. What do you think of this one? This one's actually not too bad.
I like this. There's definitely all right. For like an not apples to apples.
I'm getting the
but
tea leaves now on the nose. I went to here. I was about to drink it, and I was like, tea leaves.
If we are comparing like high rye to low rye, the OESQ, which is low rye, to the OBSQ, which is high rye, I like this one, the OESQ, better.
But you can't consistently say that you've always liked the low rye better than the high rye, right?
Correct.
It's been back and forth, right?
Correct, yeah.
Which is crazy to me. That's just how much the yeast strain plays
an
a part.
influence.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's just
Yeah,
neat.
yeah.
It's so neat. And then not only just the yeast strain and the influence it plays, but the mixture of the mash bill and the yeast strain, how low rye versus high rye, and the combination of those two just really, really is just kind of setting these all apart.
Well, and there's other things too that we can't take into account. Where was it in the rick house? Were these all on level 1, level 3?
Sure. I mean, that's always going to play a part.
Where did the wood from the barrels come from?
How hot they taste, and that kind of thing.
There's so many variables.
But
that's what's fun about all this, all the variables.
It is. And we could do this exact same 10 recipe tasting experience with, barrels that were in a different part of the rick house and have a completely different experience.
Absolutely.
And I think that's cool. That's what keeps us coming back to bourbon. And what's really, really interesting is when I first started drinking whiskey and first started drinking bourbon, I couldn't tell the difference of any of this stuff. It all just tasted like bourbon or whiskey, like whatever. But like you're starting to pick up those nuances now, those little things, and it's really, really cool. And I'm only, like 4 years into this now.
I'll never forget the aha moment that I had. It was COVID. We were all bored. I've talked about this before, but it was you, Aaron, and myself.
Yeah.
And we did a little recording, and we had 4 Roses single barrel.
At that moment, I did not know there was 10 recipes of 4 Roses.
I didn't either.
And so we didn't know. We were doing all OBSVs.
But they tasted different.
But they did. They were all different single barrels.
Just single barrels, right?
Yeah.
The shelfer single barrels. But I was like, wait a minute. It's like grabbing 2 Bud Lights, but the 2 Bud Lights taste different.
Right.
And I couldn't, it's not that I couldn't wrap my hand around it, but I was like so flabbergasted, for lack of a better word. But I'm like, what?
That's a good, but that's honestly the thing that's so neat about bourbon is.
It is.
And so this is the part I wonder, and how many people take Buffalo Trace, for example, and they take a bottle they got last year versus a bottle they got this year and taste them together. Are they actually going to taste similar? And if they do, that's just amazing. That the master tasters and the master
reproduce
they can batch it to where they get it to that point. Like that to me is just phenomenal.
I completely agree.
So because just knowing what we know now, that again, like you just said, the same mash bill, the same yeast strain,
Same everything.
just different barrels, and all of a sudden, and who knows, maybe one was 7 years, one was 6 years, one was 8 years, whatever.
Yeah.
But like different flavor.
Because we were like, these taste I just could
enough,
not believe they tasted
just
so
enough
different.
Yeah. Right. So let's go into this last one. So we have one left. This is OESF. E being the low rye mash bill, F being the herbal notes. This is available in the small batch select and the standard Four Roses bourbon. So I gotta reset my schnoz.
I don't hate this one. And the last one had
The
its counterpart, very minty.
was very minty. Ooh.
There's a light mint,
Ooh.
but not as much.
I get a sweetness on the nose I cannot put my finger on. Maybe like a powdered sugar, like a confectioner sugar.
Oh, really?
Ooh. Man. Yeah, I saw that.
Saw that flicker too?
Yeah, flicker.
Power goes out. I'd rather do it now than the summer.
A little bit of... Yeah, definitely some sweetness. Confectioner sugar to me, maybe.
Oh, that mint's there on the taste for me.
Oh, yeah. The mint's there. And
Mint's
the
on
oak,
the palate, yeah.
Oak and mint on the finish.
So...
I don't know what it is about this OE series, but I'm getting a lot of honey on the OEs. And I get just a very, very at the front of the tongue, like a honeyness, like a sweetness that's honey. And it might just be the viscosity that I'm catching, but I'm catching some honey, I feel like, on the tongue. And then the mint is there, you're right, the herbal.
This would be good in a mint julep.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like a mint julep.
Would that be too much mint, though? Because
maybe.
you added mint leaves.
Maybe.
And you smash them just enough to release the mint flavor.
When we did that for the Derby, or you did that for the Derby, I should clarify. That was I enjoyed that.
And wasn't that the same weekend as Cinco de Mayo, and we did the tequila?
We did, yeah.
We did the tequila old fashioned. That was right. Fun. Yeah, that was good. Check out that episode back in May. That was actually were two good recipes.
They were really good recipes. I agree.
Both of them. The tequila old fashioned and the mint julep.
Because a mint julep isn't something I would go out of my way to make.
No, but it's a refreshing drink.
But it was good. But like it's a good like summertime refreshing drink.
And it's even better when someone else makes it for you.
There's no. There's a thing.
I just don't like making drinks.
And they say that about cooking too. Food taste and like drinking.
But I enjoy cooking, and there's something
it.
cathartic about cooking.
I do too.
But like making drinks, there's nothing cathartic about that for me. It's just like, fuck.
I'm not good at making drinks.
I'm okay with it. You just have to measure. I mean, you just have to be.
Yeah.
Some people can do it, I think. Just like cooking, some people can do it from feel. I'm not that guy. I follow the directions. I do it exactly as it says, and then...
We should do like a fall drink mix. Like,
I've got a pumpkin spice syrup from... simple syrup from...
Middle West Spirits.
We could do an old fashioned, a pumpkin spice old fashioned.
And we gotta have more than just that, but we could do.
I know, but that's one.
Look for like just some kind of like fall old fashioned, fall like bourbon type thing. You know what I mean? There's got to be something more out there.
You're right. Let's do that soon. Yeah, definitely some mintiness. I'm starting to get some toffee, some honey, mint. Finishes with some oak.
I'm still, for me,
this is actually better than the OBSF. I like
agree.
the OESF much better.
I would agree. I think the lower rye helps this. It's still minty. It's still,
but the mint's like muted,
oaky. Yeah. It's
compared
not as strong.
to the OB.
Yes.
It's almost like mint and high rye really amplifies the mint. But the low rye in the mint softens it up just enough. This is actually a lot more enjoyable than the OBSF for me.
Agree with that.
I'm so glad we did this. This was fun.
I agree. This was really fun. I enjoyed going through these.
So neat seeing
and tasting these different
10 different recipes, only 2 mash bills, and we had this much difference.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. It blows my mind. Now, I know, to me, this just really emphasizes the importance of the yeast strain.
Oh, for sure.
Like, totally. And so this is a total segue. Okay, segue here.
That's okay.
Pappy.
I know where you're going with this.
Well, Pappy originally,
Stitzel-Weller product.
Stitzel-Weller, right? That yeast strain supposedly is lost for the ages. Whenever Diageo bought that company, supposedly I don't think they knew what they were doing necessarily, because somehow that either they're evil geniuses and they've locked away that yeast strain to bring it out for some
I hope not.
Or they didn't know what they had.
That's very possible.
And they lost the yeast strain. The yeast strain no longer is used in any of the Stitzel-Weller stuff. And so...
I mean, they could have killed it. Yeast is a living thing.
Right. They could have mishandled it, and it's gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's gone to be gone forever now, possibly. But imagine that. Pappy today is made at Buffalo Trace.
Yeah.
There was an in-between. So when Stitzel-Weller came and bought... or when Diageo came and bought Stitzel-Weller, Julian Van Winkle went off on his own. He decided to start buying barrels from Stitzel-Weller. He knew what they had. Diageo at the time didn't know what they had. So he's buying barrels of Stitzel-Weller from Diageo, turning them into Pappy. And so, and then early 2000s, 2000 or 2002 or something like that, he starts to make the deal with Buffalo Trace, where Buffalo Trace starts making Pappy. But they're using...
their yeast strain.
Their Weller and recipe or mash bill and their yeast strain. It's not the Stitzel-Weller yeast strain. It's not the...
Pappy was always a wheater from the beginning.
Yeah. So it's always been wheat. So that's not changed. So what they had to do is Julian was basically going in with the taste panel at Buffalo Trace, trying to say, okay, this wheater actually tastes like Pappy. This one doesn't. This one tastes like Pappy. This one does. So he was almost training their tasting panel to learn how to get it to, how to recognize what that Pappy taste should taste like. But I guarantee you, if you were to take a Pappy from Buffalo Trace that came out yesterday and compare it to a Pappy from Stitzel-Weller time, they would be
no comparison.
But there's a couple reasons for that. For me, one is the entry proof of the barrel.
That's huge with me.
Much lower for wheat. And Jason and I talked about this before when we talked about the Maker's Mark last week with the cellar aged. Wheat does better at a lower entry proof. It just does. But when all these conglomerates come in and they start buying out these distilleries, the biggest thing that they can do to increase their profits is increase the barrel entry proof.
Yeah, and then water it down.
So that they get more out of each barrel for all these, shelfer bottles, which I understand. I get it.
Barrels are expensive. I get it.
But that's
all
where
of it,
out of that, your viscosity goes bye-bye, and your just other things just happen to go by the wayside because you're just not getting that same quality product anymore. And most of the distilleries nowadays are doing that because they're trying to maximize their profits. And that's okay. That's fine. I get it. It's a business at the end of the day. They're not, in the business of, donation, right? Or whatever. They're in the business of making money. So I understand it. And people are still buying bourbon and whiskey more today than they ever have. So people are enjoying it, but what people are missing out on, and if you've ever tasted like an old Austin Nichols Wild Turkey, for example.
I want to so bad. I haven't.
I've had a few of them now, and it's, man, the viscosity just on those lower, proof bourbons is crazy. Compared to now, when you taste a lower proof bourbon, it's almost watery, thin, and it's just, the viscosity is not there. So it's just so interesting to see the effect, and I've segued for crazy.
No, you're crazy. You're not crazy.
You're
crazy.
Okay. I am crazy. But no, all those different things. The yeast strain plays a huge part. The mash bill obviously plays a part. The barrel plays a part. The aging process plays a part. That oxidation in the barrel while it's aging. All of those things play a part, but that entry level proof, into the barrel, that plays a part. All of those things are just so many different variables that go into the resulting flavor, the resulting mouthfeel, viscosity, all that stuff. And so, here's a great example of that. If you get a chance, pick up this Four Roses 10 recipe tasting experience. Pick it up somewhere. I got it for $140.
It's worth it to be able to like try all these different
yeah,
variables.
Right. And see how those things are just affected by yeast strain and mash bill. That's they did everything they could to try to make all things equal in this experience. The only difference is, because the proof's the same, I think they tried to age them the same, but what you're getting out of this is mash bill and yeast strain.
It shows you how much that plays a part.
It's crazy because we got 10 different experiences today, and we had 10 different recipes, and it's phenomenal because there was only 2 mash bills represented here.
Right.
And just because of the different yeast strain, you get 10 different recipes out of it. It's I don't know. It was fun. I'm glad we did this.
Same. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, and I wish Tyler could have been here. That would have been fun. But thanks for joining in for another episode of the Bourbon Hunters. We'll be back here shortly. I think next week or the week after, we're going to be announcing the Bourbon Blitz winner. And for your chance to actually join us on the Bourbon Trail for the December trip that we do every year.
Nice.
But join in next week, and it'll be either next week or the week after. I haven't decided yet. But join in, and I don't know what we're doing next week yet.
I'll be gone next week.
Yeah, you're in Iceland next week.
Yeah. Fly out Friday.
I think we're going to try to get Rudra in and bring in some, what's the little book? He's got a few little books that we're going to try to go through. So we'll try to do that next week. Thanks for joining in, guys. Catch you next week. Thank you for joining in for yet another episode of the Bourbon Hunters. If you like what you hear, please leave us a good rating on Apple, Podbean, Google, or wherever you are listening. It definitely helps us to get great guests on our show. And follow us on Instagram and the Facebooks to keep up to date with what is in our glass. As always, sit back, grab a pour, kick up your feet, and enjoy some bourbon.